I have all this analytic data. Where do I start to actually understand it all?
Okay. I'm assuming when they're talking about that, they're talking about website analytics, like Google Analytics for their website. You could also have like analytics for if you're running Facebook ads and things like that, like how that's working. But let's just talk about like the basics. Obviously, you want to understand on your website, how much traffic you're getting. If you're running advertisement or you're doing SEO or you're doing things like that, is your traffic increasing? More so, in our industry where we work with a lot of people that have a very seasonal business, is your traffic increasing when compared to previous years? So you don't want to compare your November number maybe to August, but you want to compare your November number to the prior November number to see if you're trending up. So traffic is one thing. You also want to understand where the source of that traffic is. Are you getting that traffic with organic search results? Are you getting that traffic because of paid advertisement that you're doing? Are you getting that traffic, from which platform? Are you getting it from specifically like Facebook or Instagram? Are you getting it from, Yelp? Or are you getting it? Where are you getting the traffic from? It's going to help you understand where the efforts you're putting in are paying off in the form of traffic to your website. You also want to see how long people are spending on your website. That can be a really telling part of your analytics. If people are spending a very short amount of time on your website, there's two different things I'll talk about here. There's a thing called bounce rate, which means people have left your website from the same page they came in on. So they arrived at your website, either didn't see what they were looking for or didn't engage them, and they went ahead and left from that same page. That's called a bounce. It's called bounce rate. So how many people that come to your website leave from the same page they arrive? That could be a concerning metric if it gets too high. The other metric is how long people spend on your website. If people are only spending, say, 10, 15 seconds on your website, that might be an indication that the user experience on your website is lacking. So you're not engaging people quickly. Maybe you're bringing them into the wrong page. I see a lot of situations where people run Google AdWords for, let's just say, home window tinting, and they bring people into their home page on their web, not the home page for home window tinting, their actual home page for their website. And what you're doing there is you're causing people to then have to take another step to try to find the information they're looking for. So if you're running an advertisement for automotive paint protection film or home window tinting, make sure you're bringing that person right to the link on your website for automotive paint protection film or home window tinting, because if people feel like they have to search around and they don't really know where they're going to go, they might just leave from there. So you definitely want to make sure you bring them in to where one of the first things they see is information that they thought that's what they were looking for. That's going to help. And then if people are still leaving early, if the time on site is not good, that might be an indication you may need to change around your website, create a better user experience, because for whatever reason, you're successful in getting the traffic there, but then they're not liking what they see and they're leaving. So those are a couple metrics I would keep in mind. Man, you get to the back of Google Analytics, there is mountains and mountains and mountains of information, but without overwhelming you, those are just some of the things I would say to keep an eye on that you might want to understand. Like where your traffic is coming from, what efforts you're doing are yielding results. And then when somebody arrives at your website, what kind of experience are they having? Are they bouncing out? Are they spending a very short amount of time? Things like that. And you might be able to see too, that when you're bringing people into certain pages, they may stay a long time, and other pages they may leave very quickly. And it may tell you need to do work on those pages that they're leaving quickly from, and the other page is fine. So you can really, when you start to peel back the layers of the onion, really understand a lot of where your marketing efforts are succeeding and where they're falling short.
No, absolutely. I was going to just cover quickly like the social media aspect. I know I'm looking at our YouTube analytics, and so it's very similar, like you mentioned, with the website. So whether it's watch time, and that kind of mirrors how long somebody kind of stays on a video, then you can kind of look through these, and whether you go to like your YouTube studio is kind of where you're going to see that stuff. And so it depends on if you are making videos. If you're on social media, then and if you have a business account, I know sometimes a lot of people will just kind of create a personal account for their business. But if you actually switch it over to a business account, I think one of the only downsides is you might have limitations with audio if you're trying to do reels and stuff. But I think the benefits of being able to see like how many accounts you reach, how many people are engaging with your stuff. And so those are things to understand and realize when you can kind of see what's going on if you are creating reels for the first time, and then notice, oh, I'm getting a lot more non-followers seeing my stuff versus if you are just putting up static pictures and kind of just seeing, okay, I'm getting my followers are seeing it and I'm not really getting a lot of engagement. And so kind of understanding and kind of peeking into, if you have a professional or a business account and you go to your profile, there'll be a little tab across that says professional dashboard. And if you click on that, it'll kind of break up and kind of give you the analytics that's there, and dive into that if you haven't kind of peeked at that, because that way you can kind of see whether your followers are growing and your accounts, like I mentioned, accounts engaged, or the content that you shared, and it kind of breaks down each piece of content and shows you what's being what's been more active or kind of pulled people in more. And then that kind of gives you a guide if you want to spread that across different social medias and realize, oh, okay, this is working here and this is working here. So it definitely gives you the benefit of understanding, like, okay, here's the analytics. And yes, we've kind of thrown a ton at you. And especially if you aren't a numbers person and don't like it, at least with this, like, it kind of shows, I'm looking at one right now, like followers is green. So it's no different than a stoplight or anything, or a green light. Like, it's going to show you kind of colorize and give you an idea, like, okay, this is where you're growing. This is where things are kind of staying stagnant. And this is where things are going down. So definitely kind of dive in and kind of look at all those different things if you haven't.
Yeah, absolutely. And here's the thing. We come on here every Monday, or we try to. So if you start looking into your analytics and you have questions about specific analytics, this is a perfect place to come on Monday. Ask us a question in the comments. We'd be happy to answer it. It's almost impossible for us to completely explain it because there's so many data points, but we would be happy if you have questions about specific data points or how your campaigns are doing or how your analytics are looking. We'd be happy to answer those. And I think it'd be beneficial for other people listening as well to understand how we would dissect those. So if you have questions about that, please go ahead and put them in the comments either this week or next week or whenever, and we'd be happy to help you understand those a little bit better.